behalf of Colonel Travis Howell, Commander 867th Cyberspace Operations Group, welcome to the retirement ceremony in honor of Chief Master Sergeant Daniel Peña. I am Master Sergeant Nicholas Cole, and I will be the narrator for today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting, and air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does their star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Senior Schuler. You may all take your seats. At this time, I would like to extend a special welcome to Chief Peña's family members in attendance. Wife, Monica. Children, Marina, Natalia, and Leo. Mom, Gloria. Sisters, Christina and Amy. Other family members, Nino, Ryan and Candace. Cousin Stephanie, niece Alessandra, Jocelyn, and nephew Diego. Other family members, JD, Maddie, and Benjamin, Dre, Conrad, and Bubba. Ditra family members, Cool Hand, Hellfire, Rashan Cheek, Wintz, Zenya, thank you. Finally, we welcome all commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, co-workers, and friends who have taken the time out of their day to share in this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, the presiding officer of today's ceremony, Colonel Travis Howell, Commander 867 Cyberspace Operations Group.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here on a beautiful, gorgeous Friday afternoon instead of chasing a little white ball out on perfectly manicured green. I think Danny's just itching to get out there and go today, but he's got something lined up for Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Good. Welcome for being here. Danny, thank you for inviting me to officiate the ceremony here. I didn't really want to do it, to be honest with you, because it means I really got to kick you out the door, and it's been hard the last few months without you. But we got a good team. Frosty Gufford stepped in, picking up where you left off and taking it to the next level. So thank you. To your family, Monica, Marina, Natalia, Leo, and Gloria, welcome. I didn't get to meet you before the ceremony, so look forward to talking with you afterwards. Sisters, Amy and Christina. Cousins, family, friends, thank you for being here. Senior enlisted leaders, chiefs, commanders, got a couple here. Thank you for joining us today. So my comments are going to be focused really towards the family, the professional family Probably understand a little bit about Danny's career, and if you don't, I'll try and paint some pictures here. But the themes that I'll focus on for today are passion, service, not service, and we all do, but some unique attributes to Danny during his time in uniform. And team building, just kind of these themes as I was looking through his records and getting to know him in terms of the last assignment here. Those are the themes that really stood out. But before I get started, I like to do some trivia. Why I do this calms my nerves more than anything, and also gets everybody listening. So, Danny entered active duty on the 13th of August, 1997. All right, so the history trivia here. I'm looking for years and responses. But everything that I'm talking about started at some point in history, or began on the 13th of August at some point in history. Okay? No phones, we're in a temporary skip. But the family gets the first 5 seconds, you get the first shot. If not, it's open audience. Okay. All right, so first one we'll start out with, it's a song first released not by the king himself in 1956, but by Big Mama Thornton, a rhythm and blues singer. I'm looking for the year that she released it. It's one of the King's, Elvis, you don't know who that is. The King's most, probably one of his first hits. It stood at #1 for 11 weeks in 1956. It's got that really unique sound. And if you don't know Danny's a singer, I would not doubt him popping off here and singing this song with he knows it himself. Everybody knows. Yeah. Any guesses, family? Name of the song. Blue Suede Shoes. Close. Hound Dog. Crazy as that. Gonna go?
No, I'll say this first.
Big Mama Thornton released it in 1952, but it exploded when Elvis released it in 1956. Okay, number 2 of 3 questions. Number 2 here. I'm not going to use my crutch because I have this memorized. Movie. We're still in culture and arts. It's a movie. I don't want to give away, but it's an 80s movie. Cameron Crowe wrote it. Okay, one of his I think it was the first movie he wrote. Not Almost Famous, if you remember that movie too. But it starred Judge Reinhold, Sean Penn, and this is going to give it away. Jennifer Jason.
They're in high school.
That's right.
That's
You got it. All right, good job, family. Family 1, audience 0. All right. What was the year, though? What was the year?
87.
No, lower. Much lower. There you go. Well done. All right, 2-0 now. 2-0. Third final question. Come on. One of the most revered, I'm sorry, not revered, reviled, venerated, thank you, symbols of the Cold War, capturing that tension between communism and the West. Looking for the year that it first started. Construction, 96 miles long of concrete. Thousands of people lost their lives trying to cross from East Berlin and West Germany, right? West Berlin. Brought down in 1989. Some of you may have pieces of it in your mind still. What was the year it started construction?
53 people.
Not that old. Think. Same year that President Kennedy. 63? I don't know. I thought it was 61. I might have the assassination wrong. I think it was 63. You're right, 63. But my answer is 61. So you guys both get a point for that one. All right. So 13th of August, 1997, we started at Lackland like everybody else. in our enlisted corps. After that, you went to a paradise, California, Monterey, right? A couple times throughout your career. Already knew Spanish and English, studied Russian, and then you went back to Lackland, part of the 93rd Intel Squadron, and then you went back to Monterey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, were you teaching there, or was it more training?
It was all training
Staff.
interpreter, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency Arms Control Interpreter course.
Glad you touched on that because it's a big theme of his time in uniform, right? So from Lackland, if I remember right, it was off to Germany.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Interesting opportunities. I'll talk about some of the stories, but I'm sure you're going to highlight it yourself. But what I just want to talk with him outside is, Leo, you and I have more in common. So you got it. Wiesbaden, Germany. I got to go to junior high there. You guys were stationed there again and stuff, right? Good times being a kid in Germany. Anyway, good times. So from Germany, it was the Northern Virginia, Ditra, and a second assignment, the Ditra, but this time at the headquarters, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. And then you got selected for a master's program, Strategic Intelligence at NIU, National Intelligence University, kind of a unique opportunity. I got to do it myself, part of the school, great program. But then there, you're right back to Ditra, right? Defense Threat Reduction Agency. So for those of you, I think it's half the audience who's probably serving there, all the unique accents that you struggled through. Thank you, by the way. Great job. Unique opportunity. This is an organization. He probably did not talk about it a whole lot. I'm going off the cuff here, so you guys weigh in and correct me if I'm wrong here, but Defense Threat Reduction Agency is the organization, the organization that is responsible for tracking weapons of mass destruction, so unique existential threats to our country, our way of life, but also supporting efforts like nuclear arms treaties, making sure that parties, other countries are actually living up to the agreements they've made with the United States through treaties. So he started out kind of at the ground level, right, at the initial phase of his career, and had multiple assignments. And because of the language skills that he's accrued over his time, mainly Russian, I shouldn't say accrued, because you came in with two, right? And so it was really learning Russian that gave you those unique opportunities to go overseas. Some of those career highlights that you talked about with me. 7 former Soviet states you got to travel to. Did you drive the Russian tank?
I did, sir.
Yeah. Blinking cool. Shoot off some weapons, probably. Siberian Mountain, there's a story about a nuclear reactor going cold or something. Is it part of that?
We did it. Yes, sir. We did some monitoring.
So really wild experiences, right? Not your everyday American gets to do. So those things of passion, service, and team building, right? Danny came in at a time just a few years before most of us were involved in the events after 9/11, let's say September 11, 2001, right? America found itself in counterinsurgency fights in Afghanistan and Iraq, counterterrorism operations all over the globe. That still continues today. But the big fights for most of our careers have been Afghanistan and Iraq, right? His experience is still part of that legacy of the Cold War, if you will, where we still have existential threats to the country. And there are organizations and people, Americans, dedicated to being part of that effort to make sure that people live up to those agreements and maintain the security of the country. So your husband, your son, and your dad here has been a part of that, along with a lot of other people with some really cool, weird names that you heard just a minute ago, right? Kidding, guys. But really unique experiences, and that service, looking through his records and just getting to know how passionate he is over the last 2 years, right? before he joined me here in the 867th COG to stand up this organization. He is just passionate about being an airman. He's passionate about being a person just in general, but when you get to hear him talking about the United States Air Force, his records are full of not just obtaining excellence in the performance of his assigned duties. He didn't make Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force without being good at what he does. He's exceptional. But it's all the other stuff above and beyond that he volunteered for and said, put me in, coach. Really unique experiences. His career highlight, we may talk about it. 2018, the Air Force made a decision. The president was going to award the Medal of Honor to an airman, first airman since Vietnam to earn or be awarded the Medal of Honor, if you will. But then he got to totally at the Pentagon. They effort for 8 months.
Yes, sir.
8 months for a week's worth of activities before Sergeant John Chapman was recognized posthumously for his sacrifice and service during Operation Anaconda. But he got to lead the planning efforts for 8 months, and probably the most challenging experience you've had, he said.
Yes, sir.
But the most rewarding. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you don't get to be able to do something like that off the cuff, right? And you put somebody in that's going to lead that you know is going to get the job done and do it right to honor his family, right, and his service and his sacrifice. So really, truly unique opportunity to honor Sergeant John. So team building, his records are full of it, right? And I just talked about one experience, but back in 2020, I'm wrapping up an assignment myself at Fort Meade. And I get down to the Pentagon for about 8 days, and I get the call that, hey, the Air Force is going to stand up this Cyber Ops Group, the finest United States Operations Group. Thank you. It's really unique. I don't know if he's talked about it. But let me talk about it just a little bit, because it's the finest ops group, and I get to command. So I'm going to talk about it. 2020, the Air Force said, hey, we've got this component that we're providing airmen to do really unique cyberspace operations, some offensive, some defensive. And at that point in time, there were 2 wings providing airmen into the cyber mission for U.S. Cyber Command. In 2020, September, they decided to activate this group to consolidate how airmen, cyber airmen, and intelligence airmen are presented to one of the fighting components for Cyber Command. So I get a call after 8 days of being at the Pentagon. Shortest assignment there. So, I get to go back to Fort Meade and activate the group, but I need some help to build a team. And talk with a couple of people, and when I talked with him on the phone, I knew probably about 15 seconds in, this is the guy. Just not because of his records, but just because of the passion. I knew he was interested and excited about the opportunity. Whether or not he was putting me on the phone, I couldn't tell, but I was sold, right? Because we both live in Alexandria, and we both road warrior in the last couple of years up at Fort Meade, so I appreciate what you've been doing. And he's been with me for the last couple of years, helping build out this team, the group, right? So the themes in his record: service, passion, right? Passion about airmen. He's volunteered for all sorts of leadership opportunities outside his normal duties. His records are packed. And that's the caliber of man that you've given to the nation, so thank you. I always get emotional about talking about our airmen, right? It's not a bad thing, but as we're wrapping up here, that's really the key takeaways I wanted the family to understand about Danny Peña. To the professional family, we get to say goodbye to a fellow warrior, fellow airman. And I think it was the club that all of us in uniform tried to get to, the retired club, on the outside. So, one last question, sir. You sure you want to retire?
Yes, sir.
Do it. Join me, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Chief Master Sergeant Daniel H. Peña distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Group Senior Enlisted Leader, 867th Cyberspace Operations Group, 67th Cyber Wing, Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. During this period, Chief Peña's strong leadership was essential in the historic stand-up of the Air Force's only offensive and defensive Cyberspace Operations Group, which operationally presents 560 airmen to 12 national cyber teams within the United States Cyber Command's Cyber National Mission Force. In this role, he worked closely with higher headquarters to attain the vital operation support for 3 joint task forces, enabling the execution of more than 1,600 cyberspace operations. Furthermore, after Chief Peña's decisive presence in the Wing's highest tasked operations group forged essential partnerships through the 16th Air Force, service components, and intelligence community, supporting a multi-agency campaign to degrade adversaries' capabilities, effectively defending the national 2020 presidential elections from malicious cyber actors. Finally, Chief Peña's leadership and experience was vital in the selection to serve on the 2021 Master Sergeant Promotion Board, where he identified eligible candidates from over 1,400 airmen to serve in the next grade, and mentored more than 200 airmen in the process in hopes to demystify the selection process. The singular distinctive accomplishments of Chief Peña culminate a distinguished career in the service to his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Colonel Howell will now retire Chief Peña.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Chief Master Sergeant Daniel Peña, effective 30 April 2022, you are relieved from active duty. 867th Cyberspace Operations Group, Fort George G. Meade, Maryland, retired effective 1 May 2022 in the grade of Chief Master Sergeant.
Did it, Mom?
Hold on to that. Everyone, please be seated. Go ahead and hold on to that. Hold on to that, sir.
Okay. Me here? Chief?
Nope.
Nope.
You guys get a photo?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, you got a photo. I didn't hear the click. It was... Colonel Howell will now present Chief Master Sergeant Peña with the Air Force retired lapel pin. Monica, I practiced.
She didn't know who you were talking
Would you
about.
please join Colonel Howell and your husband?
I didn't practice.
Make it safe. Better be blood. There is. Not from the pin. No, you don't get to punch me in the face.
Colonel Howell will now present Chief Peña with a retirement letter from Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass.
Are you going to read it?
Nope.
Do I get to read it?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Okay, take it back.
It looks legit. It's legit. It's good stuff.
This-
It's nice. Cardstock, really quality.
This is
It's beautiful.
Mrs. Peña, we also have a certificate for you, which will be presented now. Hold this one while I read it, sir.
Okay.
It reads, in grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Monica Peña for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this 30th day of April 2022, signed Colonel Travis G. Howell and Chief Staff of the Air Force, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Monica.
She hated being up here.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are many others to be presented, but Chief Peña chose to let you come and view them on your own. So they're on display for reading at your pleasure. At this time, we will present gifts for anyone that has them for them. Sir, I'll let you go first.
Thank you. First time I'm seeing them.
You did a good job, sir.
Wow. You're pretty young there, buddy.
Let's show it off.
Yeah.
Ooh. Next, I'm going to ask Senior Master Sergeant Wu to come up. A little gift from the SELs of all the squadrons in the group.
Senior Woo!
He hasn't seen this.
I haven't.
All right. So, on behalf of all the SCLs in the group, thank you for standing up this awesome group with Colonel Howell. We couldn't have done it without you. Obviously, your tremendous passion that we heard about through your storied history is going to be passed down to all the airmen. This isn't just from the SCLs, but from all of the airmen in the entire group. So, thank you so much for all of you. I wanted to leave this storied memory of you in this group, not only with all of our unit symbols here, but the actual flag of our group. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Okay, at this time, we'll let Chief Peña provide any gifts that he has for his family.
I do have a few gifts. Two bouquets of roses for the leading ladies in my life. Mom, for you, and thank you for being the best role model. And roses for the center of my universe and the gravity that keeps our family together. And for the best pieces of my wife and I got you each some beautiful rose flowers. They're all going to the same house, Leo. You can't have the orange ones. I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you for the first time Chief Master Sergeant Daniel Peña, United States Air Force, retired.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. I don't have anything written down. I have no outline, no notes. And it's interesting. I got a phone call yesterday from one of my other good friends, Marcelo, who reminded me how significant today is. And I shared with him how initially I wasn't going to have a retirement ceremony. And he said, don't take this ceremony for granted. Some people will retire without one, and that's fine. But for those of us that weren't able to have one over the last couple of years because of the pandemic, it means a lot. And it means a lot for many reasons to a lot of people. One, I want to commemorate and celebrate the 24 years, 8 months, and 18 days that I served. And some might say, wow, with all that time, you made it through all those ranks. It must have gone by in the blink of an eye. And I can honestly tell you, no, it did not. And there were some days, weeks, months that were really longer than others. And so I don't have any notes prepared. But how could I? How could I capture how a young, directionless, 22-year-old Mexican boy from El Paso, Texas, found his way into the Air Force, looking to gain some maturity, learn a trade, get out of debt, and do something with his life, and found that the Air Force was there to provide some core values. Integrity first, excellence in all we do, and service before self. And those are some great core values in this first couple of years. I got through 2 years of tech school and beautiful Monterey, California. But I couldn't effectively capture all of that in an outline or some notes. Nor could I capture how when I got to my first duty station in beautiful San Antonio, Texas, where I thought I was going to travel and see the world, 5 years in San Antonio, slowly forgetting everything that I had initially learned, thinking this is it, one tour and I'm done. I'm going to get out of the Air Force, I'm going to become an educator, I'm going to be a teacher. But things changed. The Air Force had opportunities. And one of the first lessons the Air Force taught me, opportunity will take you places and give you new experiences, train you further. I raised my hand and I said, yes, send me. And off I went, back to DLI to study Russian at the Arms Control Interpreter course. The toughest academic setting in which I've ever found myself. Almost as hard as NIU's master's course, but the instructors cared a lot less. And everybody who's known the Krasnyanskaya terror, they know what I'm talking about. Great lessons to be learned there about resilience, staying strong, putting your nose in the books, getting through it, putting in the work, doing the time, doing what you need to do. I got through that course. Despite the fact that I thought I was going to wash back after the first trimester, I did wash back. It was one of the voluntary things I did. Best decision of my life. My fear was I was going to get through the course and be a mediocre interpreter. I was going to get through and do just enough to get by. And that terrified me because the Air Force taught me to be excellent in everything you do. And the additional time that I garnered from having washed back turned me into a pretty good perevodchik. Not half bad. That in conjunction, there's a couple people in the back. By the way, I got to give props to Angie Maldonado because she helped me bridge my first 2 DITRA tours. Angie has known me longer than any military service member that I've served with, that I've worked with side by side. We stood side by side in basic training, and she has gone on to continue to demonstrate what a badass leader that she is. So I'm really happy that you're here. It means a lot. I've met some awesome friends and family along the way. The assignments, they're amazing. I've seen the inside of shut down nuclear reactors, been in the former active zones. I was in the inside of a hollowed out mountain where they had a radiochemical combine in Siberia. I have seen conventional arms control that were used in various wars in Soviet Russia's past, in Belarus and all of these other countries, the former Soviet Union. I have done the best that I can to help in strategic, diplomatic, military to military communications, negotiations and discussions, to uphold international treaties and political agreements, to do what I can to continue to safeguard our way of life, the U.S. Constitution, and everything that we do here at home. And when I was a kid, I loved superheroes. I read comic books forever. I wanted to be a superhero. And this job, these experiences, they really gave me a sense of fulfillment that I was helping to save the day. And I am extremely honored to have put my name on that mailbox. I learned a lot of other lessons along the way. A lot of them from my friends. For example, I had to be reminded, but Dre taught me great lessons. I had to remember, I had to think. Later in my career, when I was kind of suffering from some of the stress and the burdens of a job, you know what? My life is dope and I do dope stuff. He didn't say stuff. He didn't say stuff. I learned from JD that I'm not a clockmaker and that sometimes I have to pull my head out of my butt to get the job done. He didn't say but. And sometimes when I'm really stressed out, like leading up to this ceremony, guess what? I'm going to retire regardless of how this ceremony goes. So even if Sergeant Cole were to, and you didn't, mispronounce any names, he did a great job. I learned from Bubba, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And one person who's not here, who has probably been really influential on me professionally, SG taught me, show up, do the work. And that applies across the board. Whether you're working, you've got colleagues, you've got a job to do, or whether you're with family and friends and they need your help, show up, do the work. And so I have tried to profess that to all of the airmen. Whether I'm giving some leadership or mentorship to airmen at leadership school, telling them, put your mask on first and take care of yourself, then you can take care of your airmen. Put your name on the mailbox. Demonstrate some pride of ownership. Show everybody that what you do is the best. Or, as a supervisor, observe the platinum rule. That's not to treat others as you would have them treat you, because that's not empathetic. Treat others as they would have themselves treated. Get to know them from their perspectives and what works for them. In that way, you're empathetic. That was a way to be an effective leader using those principles. I was also able to partake in one of the greatest methods of celebrating Air Force history and heritage, and that's growing out a mustache every March. And there's a lot of laughter around this, but I have genuinely found that every mustache march, through team building, through camaraderie, through innovation and excellence, we have built better airmen. We have built more inclusivity because we get all airmen of all races, backgrounds, socioeconomic situations, genders. We've had some beautiful femstashes compete in these competitions. We celebrate Air Force heritage. We celebrate excellence in all we do. We celebrate innovations. And we celebrate Robin Olds and the beautiful bulletproof mustache that he just demonstrated. And that's probably something I will continue to recognize and honor and encourage every March. I have learned to celebrate our forefathers in participating in the Bataan Memorial Death March whenever it's open, in person. And hopefully in the future I'll be able to participate in the Nijmegen if I get a trip to Europe. There's so much history before me, people that have paved the path before me, and in my service, I recognize that despite everything that I've done, despite all of my efforts and successes and sometimes failures, I have not done it alone. I have done it standing on the shoulders of giants, arm in arm with my brothers and sisters in arms, with whom's help I've been able to continue moving forward. And I've had some stumbles, and I've had to take a knee. Truth be told, there's a couple times I had to seek some mental help, and it helped me and probably saved me. I've had friends look out for me in the audience, make sure that I'm okay. No matter if you have to take a knee, no matter if you have to take a step back, throughout my 24 years I've done so, the objective is to keep moving forward. And without you guys, my beloved family and friends, I would not have been able to do so. It's an intimate setting that we have here. And I chose it because I wanted to have you select few here. I would have loved to have had some of my airmen here, but unbeknownst to me, the Cyber National Mission Force gave the crew a down day today. So they've got the day off. I don't expect them to show up here. For those that did and volunteered, Airman Schuler knocked it out of the park with that anthem. And thank you, Sergeant Motley, for being a proffer. I appreciate it. Truth be told, Colonel Howell and I were not the first leadership team in the 867th COG. They had a commander, de facto commander, who was there before us, and that's Sergeant Cole. This guy's been my training wheels and kept me upright and straight this whole time in the group, and I can't thank you enough for being the POC and MC in my ceremony. Thank you very much. So with all of that being said, you can see why I didn't have anything prepared. But honestly, this is just a dry run, so we're going to go through this again. You'll be able to hear the speech for real. It has been a great adventure these past 24 years, and it's interesting. A lot of my teachers, when I was learning Russian, had me talk about myself. They would ask me, how long have you been married? How long have you been in the Air Force? And I would confuse the two sometimes, the number of years, because I joined the Air Force on August 13th, and right around the same time I got married. But I've been in the Air Force longer than I've been married, by 2 years. Well, soon, in 2 years, I'll be able to surpass that anniversary, and I'll have been married longer than I'll have served in the Air Force. I know the Air Force, I've been in the Air Force more than half my life. I joined when I was 22 and I'm 47 now, 24 years. I'm not sure I know how to be a civilian, but I am going to love figuring it out. I'm proud to have served, and I thank you all for being here today. Well,
Oh, those? Okay. Congratulations, Danny. Sorry, I've been dying to say it. I'm not going to ask you to join them. You already have. So, singing the Air Force song signifies the conclusion of our ceremony today. Following the Air Force song, please join Colonel Howell in receiving line at the rear of the room to congratulate Chief Master Sergeant Retired Peña and his family, and remain in the area to partake in light snacks and refreshments hosted by Chief Master Sergeant Retired Peña and his family. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the song led by Mr. Daniel Peña.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, swinging to beat our thunder. Adam Mark, give her the gun, give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, up or down in flames. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. All right.
That's a hard time with that.